Our journey continues here in Jerusalem with a search for the Ark of the Covenant. Legends have placed the Ark in faraway places like Ethiopia or Ireland. Phoebe and Chris Mitchell spoke with one researcher who believes the Ark might be a lot closer than people think. For millennia, scientists, theologians, archaeologists, and adventurers have scoured the globe in search of the rare Ark of the Covenant. This ancient artifact has long captured human imagination and intrigue. In a groundbreaking discovery that has left the world in awe, a group of scientists claims to have finally unraveled the mysteries that lie within this holy enigma. But what are these age-old secrets? In this video, we will delve into scientists' intriguing quest to uncover the secrets of this legendary relic, with findings that could reshape our very understanding of history. In the world of history, mythology, and religious lore, few artifacts have held the enduring mystique and fascination as the Ark of the Covenant. Recently, scientists have sent shock waves through the world as they claim to have achieved what centuries of exploration couldn't: a glimpse inside this mysterious symbol of divine connection. The Ark of the Covenant is not just an ordinary wooden chest, it's a sacred vessel shrouded in myth and legend. The Ark of the Covenant, known as Aron Habit in Hebrew, is a lavishly adorned wooden chest covered in gold, which during biblical eras served as the storage for the 2 tablets of the law presented to Moses by God. Positioned within the Holy of Holies within the tabernacle of the ancient Temple of Jerusalem, the Ark was a site exclusively reserved for the high priest of the Israelites on the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. The Levites, responsible for priestly duties, accompanied the Ark during the Hebrews' wilderness wanderings. Following the successful conquest of the Promised Land, Canaan, the Ark found its home in Shiloh. When King David reigned, the Ark found its resting place within the city of Jerusalem. Subsequently, during the 10th century BCE, King Solomon was responsible for erecting the Temple of Jerusalem. Within this temple, the Ark was carefully relocated to the most sacred chamber known as the Holy of Holies, referred to as Kodesh HaKodashim in Hebrew. Access to this space was strictly limited to the Israelite high priest and permitted only once each year, specifically on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Jewish and Christian accounts describe how the Ark of the Covenant was transported by the ancient Israelites during their wilderness travels and occasionally accompanied them in times of conflict. According to Jewish tradition, Moses received a substantial amount of information during his time on the mountain. The information presented in these records can be found in the biblical books of Exodus and Leviticus, which serve as guidance for priests, Numbers, documenting the Hebrew people's journey through the wilderness, and Deuteronomy, providing supplementary information about the initial legislation. After the Israelites departed from Egypt, Moses guided them to Mount Sinai, where he experienced his initial divine revelation from God. He left the people encamped at the mountain and spent 40 days and nights there. What Moses received wasn't solely the conventional concept of the 10 Commandments but essentially the foundational constitution for the nation of Israel. Over time, these commandments were summarized into 10 concise statements phrased in Hebrew as short instructions like do not lie and do not steal. In the Greek translation of the Jewish scriptures, known as the Septuagint, they were referred to as the Decalogue. From a theological perspective, the tablets were divided. The initial 5 pertained to matters related to the worship of the God of Israel, while the remaining 5 addressed the conduct of the nation. Contemporary depictions of the tablets incorporate both the original Hebrew letters and the subsequently added Roman numerals. When Solomon died, 1 Kings 14 verse 25 tells the story of Pharaoh Shishak of Egypt, who conquered the region and looted Jerusalem. Shishak is identified as Shoshenkai from the 22nd dynasty of Egypt in the 10th century BCE. The passage mentions that Shishak confiscated valuables from the temple of Yahweh and the royal residence, which included golden shields crafted by Solomon. There is scholarly debate over whether the spoils included the Arkansas. The Ark reappears in 2 Chronicles 35 verses 1-6 when King Josiah, 640-609 BCE, a religious reformer, instructs the Levites to place the sacred Ark in the temple that Solomon, son of King David, built. Some theories suggest that the Ark was concealed during Shishak's invasion and remained hidden until Josiah's reign. In 587 BCE, the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem and Solomon's temple. The later apocryphal text of 1 Esdras mentions the taking of vessels of the Ark of God and the king's treasures to Babylon but does not specify the Ark itself. The Jewish scriptures, which narrate life in Babylon and Persia, do not mention the Ark from this point in Israel's history. Scientists, scholars, and archaeologists have been searching for the Ark of the Covenant for the past 2 centuries. Alongside the Holy Grail, the Ark remains one of the most sought-after relics of ancient times. Theories about the Ark draw from Jewish Hellenistic literature. But where is the Ark of the Covenant now? Certain theories suggest that the Ark may have been concealed during the Roman siege and the Jewish revolt, with a possible clue found in the Copper Scroll. This scroll, a distinctive discovery among the Essene scrolls unearthed at Qumran, enumerates 64 locations where gold and silver were hidden. Similar to other scrolls, it employs cryptic language to describe these places, making them challenging to decipher. Here's your text consolidated into a single paragraph without any missing or skipped words. Similar dimensions carried on poles by priests, forbidden to touch the ground, regarded with reverence as a vessel of their god, and believed to possess formidable power capable of overcoming adversaries. In his 2008 book titled The Lost Ark of the Covenant, Parfit further posits that the Ark might have been transported to Arabia following the events outlined in the second book of Maccabees. He refers to Arabic sources indicating its presence in Yemen during ancient times. Although genetic Y-DNA analyses conducted in the 2000s suggested a partial Middle Eastern origin among some of the male Lemba population, they did not establish a specific Jewish connection. According to Lemba tradition, the Ark temporarily resided in a place referred to as Senna, possibly Senna in Yemen, before being transported across the sea to East Africa. There, it may have been taken inland during the era of the Great Zimbabwe civilization. Per their oral history, the Ark ultimately self-destructed sometime after the Lemba arrival. With it, the Lemba priests subsequently created a replica using a core from the original Arkansas. This replica was discovered in a cave by Harold von Sard, a Swedish-German missionary, in the 1940s and eventually made its way to the Museum of Human Science in Harare. The Ark of the Covenant was reportedly kept in the Basilica of St. John Lateran, where it survived the pillaging of Rome by Alaric I and Gaiseric, but was ultimately lost when the basilica suffered a fire. Rabbi Eliezer ben Jose claimed to have seen the mercy seat of the temple in Rome bearing a bloodstain. Upon inquiry, he was informed that this stain resulted from the blood sprinkled by the high priest during the Day of Atonement. In Ireland, between 1899 and 1902, the British Israel Association of London conducted excavations on the Hill of Tara in search of the Ark of the Covenant. However, their efforts were halted following successful campaigns by Irish nationalists like Maud Gonne and the Royal Society of Antiquaries of Ireland, RSAI, who aimed to prevent the destruction of the hill. Subsequent non-invasive surveys carried out by archaeologist Conor Newman from 1992 to 1995 failed to reveal any evidence of the Ark's presence on the hill. The British Israelites believed that the Ark could be located at the burial site of the Egyptian princess Tefi. According to Irish legend, Tefi arrived in Ireland in the 6th century BC and married the Irish king Ahriman. Given the historical significance of the Tara site, Irish nationalists such as Douglas Hyde and W. B. Yeats expressed their objections in newspapers. In 1902, Maud Gonne led a protest against the excavations taking place on the site. Have scientists finally opened the Ark? On January 6, 1982, archaeologist Ronald Wyatt claimed to have found the Ark of the Covenant. However, in 2019, researchers in Israel, including scientists and religious archaeologists, claimed to have found the stone on which the Ark of the Covenant was once placed. This assertion was made by a team from Tel Aviv University who discovered a 3,100-year-old temple near Beit Shemesh. They suggest that the Ark was positioned on a square table, and this discovery is seen as a significant alignment between biblical accounts and archaeological findings. Archaeologists note the remarkable resemblance between this stone and the mythical large stone mentioned in the first book of Samuel. It was originally used to support the Ark when it was brought back to Beit Shemesh after being in Philistine hands. Subsequent excavations of the 12th century BC temple reveal that it was looted and intentionally desecrated by the Philistines, who turned it into an animal pen. The search for the Ark of the Covenant, a quest that has fascinated archaeologists for centuries and was popularized in the 1981 film Raiders of the Lost Ark, has reached a new milestone with this discovery. Scholars studying the large stone believe that the 100-year gap between its existence and the time of Moses offers evidence of biblical history dating back further than previously believed. The 12th century BC building is considered a temple due to its distinctive characteristics, including separation from other structures, sturdy walls, and its orientation toward the rising sun. There are speculations that two large concave stones with carved gutters might have been used for wine libations or creating sacred wine from olives. The presence of animal bone fragments, pottery, and cups at the site suggests that rituals were conducted there. Professor Shlomo Bunamovitz, the lead archaeologist, is confident that this was indeed a temple, emphasizing the unique nature of the structure and its contents. The stone itself measured 2.8 feet on each side, forming a perfect square, further reinforcing the idea that it held special significance in the mid-12th century BC. The sacred place of worship suffered looting and devastation, becoming covered in animal excrement. According to Dr. Zvi Lederman, an archaeologist from Tel Aviv University who led the project, shortly after its destruction, the entire area was repurposed as an animal enclosure. He views this as a deliberate act of disrespect towards a holy site. Although there's no concrete proof connecting the nearby Philistines, whose settlement at Beit Shemesh was only 7 kilometers away, to the destruction, the researchers consider them the primary suspects, as they discussed in their interview with Haaretz. Beit Shemesh, situated on the border between pre-monarchic Israel and the Philistines, often became a focal point for conflicts between different religious groups. The alleged reason for these hostilities may be linked to the discovery of a table deep within the temple. This square slab, which was initially found 6 years after the excavation began, was resting on two smaller rocks. Dr. Lederman initially thought it might have been a fallen masbah. According to the first book of Samuel, the residents of Beit Shemesh gazed inside the ark and were struck by divine lightning as a form of punishment. This account from the Old Testament is famously depicted in cinematic style in the Indiana Jones movie Raiders of the Lost Ark, where those who peered into the ark had their faces melt. Following its time in Beit Shemesh, the ark was eventually transported to King David in Jerusalem, with a detour of 20 years through Kiriath Jearim. The assertion that this discovery is a part of the Ark of the Covenant story presents several challenges. First, the Bible indicates that the table was in an open field, not within a temple. Additionally, the narrative wasn't incorporated into Scripture until the 7th century BC, centuries after the events. Archaeologist Israel Finkelstein from Tel Aviv University, who has led other excavations in search of the Ark, casts doubt on this latest discovery, questioning how a memory from the 12th century BC could have been preserved until the 8th century BC without a continuous writing tradition. He expresses his skepticism to Haaretz. On the other hand, Abraham Faust, a professor of archaeology at Bar-Ilan University, suggests that the significance of the find might not lie in its literal existence but in what it signifies for ancient traditions. He proposes that although the story was composed much later, this discovery could support the idea that some very early traditions found their way into the Bible. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, drop a comment, and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for even more engaging content.